Psychobabble, oh, psychobabble. You're out in the sea, now it's fading to black. I threw it away, 'cause I don't want it back. I don't care when it's all psychobabble
Okay. Wait a little bit, see if some people get in here. I know it's kind of hard. I haven't uploaded in a while. And so I know my algorithm's asleep. And I didn't put out much notice. I got home late today. How you doing there, Ken Jeeper? There must be a lot of people that are just dead set on this being some huge multi-layer conspiracy. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit and debunk this latest one and the one from yesterday a little more, with just using common sense. And I don't know how many people have seen the new conspiracy running around today, but it is pure Scooby-Doo, mystery machine nonsense. And the sad part is the guy does a pretty compelling story, but everything that he has found to be a clue is just pure, plain old confirmation bias. And what happens is, some of you guys that are here from the Upchurch saga, he did the same thing. Him and his little 4-panel there, his 4 investigators, they were in full confirmation bias. They looked, everything they did, they looked for something that they could conflate to fit their conspiracy, and ended up convincing themselves of some of it. They had gotten to the point where they thought that Zanime was actually a real suspect, and the only place she was a suspect was in their imagination. And we're seeing the same thing here. So for some of you that haven't seen this most recent ridiculous conspiracy, it starts off with a guy saying that Tyler Robinson didn't assassinate Charlie Kirk. His Israeli security did. And I'm going to tell you, I can't say for absolute certain, but I can say I'm pretty sure they're not Israeli. They're just that one guy that's a security guard has been with him for a long time, guys. If you go back and look at all of his older videos, you'll see that guy. He's been with him a long time. And this latest theory is that they put some kind of a explosive in Charlie's microphone, and then they remotely detonated it, and then ran up to where Charlie was at, laying on the ground. Of all the places you would go if you just committed an assassination with your remote trigger, his claim is that they ran up right to where Charlie was laying on the ground, and everybody was freaking out for a second. And I'm almost certain they were looking for car keys. Who's got the keys? Who's got the keys? We got to get him out of here, because I think their van was parked right there where, because they unloaded and everything. And I think they were parked really, really close. They weren't sure who had the keys in the chaos. And you could just imagine you're standing there, He's hit. You got one mission: get him out of there to the hospital. And they're all going, who's got the keys? Where's getting? And then they figure it out and go. Okay. Well, he shows he then goes on to show a close up of some dude in the audience with dark sunglasses on, like that's unusual, especially there, cowboy country. And the guy's holding a cell phone in his hand. And how we doing, JT Hunter? Polaroid white. The guy's holding a cell phone in his hand. And he claims that because that cell phone twitches at the same time you hear the shot, that was a remote trigger. This was a remote trigger that would set off some kind of an explosive device in Charlie's microphone and just, be deadly accurate and hit him right in the artery of the neck. And then the guy runs up to where Charlie is at and hands his supposed trigger device over to a guy that's back there. Now, during this chaos, right when Charlie gets hit, I'm talking within less than 5 seconds of him hitting the ground. A guy bends over and grabs, I'm not sure if he grabbed something or picked something up and put it in his pocket or what, but he grabbed something either off the ground or that was just right there somewhere. And I think that there could have been a number of things, and when you're in that, your adrenaline's racing, you're liable to just do shit you didn't even think about, like subconsciously. And then supposedly this guy from the audience with the remote trigger comes up in the midst of all this and hands his trigger device over to them, and then they leave. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, but I'm going to start the debunking of this one right there. Okay. It hurts for me to say this. It's like I feel stupid even talking about this, but it's got a whole bunch of people whipped into a frenzy. The absurdness that if you laid out this big heavy duty plan, okay, you've built this big multi-layer conspiracy, right? That's got all these moving parts. You're telling me you wouldn't have a better plan than for the trigger man to walk up to where they're picking Charlie up off the ground and hand somebody that's going to help carry him away your trigger device. That's what he's claiming. Now, mind you, this is all because he's seen some guy in the audience with dark glasses with a cell phone in his hand that twitched. And I mean, when I tell you it twitched like barely. Let's see. Then, he goes on to hypothesize about what the explosive device in the cell phone was. Now, you gotta think about this. Charlie had the microphone laying in his open hand between his legs, relaxed. How would they know that he would ever even take that posture? How would they know that he would ever take that posture? He usually sets the microphone down on the table. But this time he had just brought it down and had it laying relaxed between his legs, open palm. The chances of that having some kind of projectile in it that would put a hole straight through his neck, not make a single burn mark on his white t-shirt, and be that accurate is pretty far-fetched, right? I mean, that, and without practicing it or anything, I mean, that would be a feat, I think. So to reiterate, this imbecile is claiming that there was an explosive device in his microphone and it sent a projectile through Charlie's neck, severing his spine, killing him instantly. And I'm sorry, you have to laugh at this. I'm not laughing at the situation. I'm laughing at the absurdity. And these are people that I thought were credible. And they're literally full-blown Ryan Upchurch on this thing. So let's continue. So he then goes, they go on to hypothesize what that projectile may have been. And the No Country for Old Men, where the dude had the frickin' air tank with a, you know, and they're claiming that's what it was. Hey, Joe. They're claiming that, like in the movie, how we doing? I see orbs. What's happening? Penny Royalty. What's up? Anyway, so for you guys that are getting here late, the newest conspiracy that's got everybody whipped into a frenzy today, a bunch of big YouTube channels, is that Israel put an explosive device in Charlie's microphone, and it was detonated with a remote trigger by a guy in the audience who then ran up to right to where Charlie was and handed the trigger off to one of the guys that was going to carry Charlie out of there in a few minutes after they went and got the car. He goes on to show the chaos when Charlie gets hit. There's immediate chaos that you can just imagine, the adrenaline. One of the security guys jumps over the table. He reaches down, picks something up off the ground or near Charlie. We don't know what it was. And when your adrenaline's flying like that, you can just do something subconsciously, really, not even think about it. My guess is it was something they needed, or something that something that caught his eye. I mean, who knows? And then I see them like a couple guys are patting their pocket, and another one comes up and he says something, another one says something, and another one hands him something, and it's I'm betting you it's keys to a vehicle. It's just I just know it in my gut. That's just keys to a vehicle. And as I was saying, the chances of pulling that off, in other words, you got a guy in the audience who, instead of having some escape plan or just disappearing into the crowd, you know, inconspicuous, why would you need to hand your trigger off if your trigger looks exactly like a cell phone? If your trigger looks exactly like a cell phone, then nobody's going to suspect you. Nobody's going to suspect you. But this guy insinuates, of all the things the trigger man would do, he runs up to where they're gathering Charlie up and getting a car to get the hell out of there, and hands his so-called trigger off to one of the guys that's helping get him out of there. I kid you not. This got the internet ablazing. Okay. So it just totally reminds me of the Kylie Rodney case when Upchurch and his little true crime panel were just panting and slobbering, and they had nothing. It was all in their imagination. Anyway, where was I? So they've got this awesome conspiracy, that there's an explosive device in Charlie's microphone that's going to send a projectile through his neck and sever his spine and kill him instantly, the first try. And it was triggered by a guy in the audience with a cell phone. And instead of him just wandering away with his cell phone unconspicuous, he ran up to where Charlie was at and supposedly gave it to one of the guys that's helping get away. There were some dudes shuffling around up front. Looked like maybe one of them handed another one something, and I'm betting it was car keys. Here, take my car. Here, get the other car. I mean, who knows? They're all in panic mode. Then they get to talking about the projectile. What kind of projectile was in the microphone? And that's when it gets real moonbat, because the dude starts giving it some kind of ridiculous name, some kind of silly street name or military name, whatever it is. I don't remember what he said. It was stupid, code word stuff. And, like in the movie, we're in No Country for Old Men, where he's got the air tank. They're claiming it was something like that. And as I said, Charlie had the microphone laying in his lap, open palm. And how does that make a hole in his neck and do it the first try? What, you talk about a risky thing to do. I want you to just chew on this for a minute. Do you realize how bad it would have went for them all had it not killed him, had it missed? Because they would be looking into who messed with the microphone. I mean, it could go south really freaking quick, right? So that's a whole lot of risk, I think, right? Common sense. That's a pretty far-fetched thing to insinuate that you would have some kind of an explosive device in a microphone that would just kill the guy instantly. First try, when you don't even know where he's going to be holding the mic or what kind of posture, and it could go wrong so quick, so fast, and you would be busted, right? So you think about that. Think about all the work that goes into this conspiracy this guy has, right? Well, let's break it down. So you got to have his security in on it. You have to have at least 4 or 5 guys in the audience and stuff that are in on it. Tyler Robinson has to be willing to go there with a gun, even if he's being set up like they claim. He would have to be willing to do it first. And so let's talk about that for a minute. So now you got all these multiplayers involved with this very complex thing where it's going to be an explosive in his microphone, and a guy's going to trigger it remotely, and then he's going to run up to where everybody's looking and hand it off instead of just wandering away inconspicuously. So that punches one hole in it right there, right? So the guys are shuffling around up there, handing something. I say it was car keys, that everybody was trying to figure out what to do, and they probably thought, let's take him ourselves. We're not waiting. And that decision was made in mere seconds, like 5 seconds. And they're picking him up and hauling ass out of there with him. So that kind of punches a hole in it for me, that that of all the things the trigger man would do, he would walk right up to where all the attention's on him, the cameras on him, where the investigation's going to be, and to hand his device off when he could have, it was a cell phone, so he could have just walked away with it. Nobody's going to suspect a cell phone. So there's that. And I'm not convinced it was the same guy. He claims it's the same guy he showed in the audience holding a cell phone. But the guy that comes up behind the tent and hands something has a different looking type of sunglasses on, if you ask me. I don't think it's the same guy. Now, the other side of this is that they insinuate that Tyler Robinson was set up. So he was convinced to come there with a gun, with bullets inscribed, and just sit there on the roof and not do anything, and then run away when it happens and then confess to it. Right? See how it just starts to fall apart here. So we know for absolute certain some things, right? And we know for certain Tyler Robinson hated Charlie Kirk, and him and his little group talked about killing him often, so much that both families, Tyler Robinson's family and the furries lovers family, both said it had become an obsession to the point where it was uncomfortable being around them. Quote unquote. So here you got this kid with a desire to do it, right? He clearly had a desire to do it. I ask you all, wouldn't it just be easier and safer just to let him pull the trigger and kill him? And then you don't have to worry about some complex explosive device and a trigger man in the audience and a couple of his security guards in on it and handing off a trigger device right in front of everybody. I mean, that's what I'm thinking, right? I mean, good grief, man. And you know, the conspiracy the day before, even worse, where sitting right behind where Charlie Kirk was at, there is a one-story building. And sitting on the roof of that one-story building, in between, it looks to me like maybe air conditioning unit, or maybe it's even like a patio thing. I'm not too sure, but there is a shrub there that is still there, by the way. There's a shrub there. And so the conspiracy yesterday was he wasn't shot from the front. He was shot from the back by a guy like disguised in some Vietnam movie costume, you know, with like leaves on his helmet and war paint on his face. And he shot him from the back. Again, where that's at, where this guy is saying that was at, everyone in the audience would have been able to clearly see. If you sat where the audience was and you look towards where this shrub is that he claims was a guy in a Vietnam era costume with war paint and leaves on his helmet, you would be literally, it is right the hell in front of you. There's no way one out of the 3,000 plus people there wouldn't have seen that. So I think that completely debunks that nonsense, because we saw where it clearly shows his shirt puff open in the back. And we know for a fact that the surgeon said, yep, severed his artery, bullets lodged. We know for a fact his wife seen the wounds. We know for a fact the coroner saw the wounds. We know for a fact the funeral home, Catholic funeral home mortician saw the wounds. I mean, to an ER trauma team to insinuate they're all in on it is absurd. To know that one X-ray would debunk a lie like that the bullet's still there. It'd be so easy to do. One independent autopsy, and this surgeon would have had no way of knowing whether or not his wife would order an independent autopsy or a month later exhume and do one. That is a pretty high risk for somebody that spent their whole life building a career as a surgeon in their local community. So I say to you again, if you're going to build a multi-layer conspiracy, why lie about the gun and the bullet? That'd be kind of stupid, wouldn't it? Because that's going to draw unneeded attention to your conspiracy. I mean, if you're going to lie, why not just say something more believable? Well, it was a .22 rifle, hit him right in the artery, killed him instantly. We found the bullet. Here it is. I mean, you understand, if you're going to lie about something, you're typically going to lie about something more believable. And of all the lies they could have told, why would they have said 30-06? What a weird gun to lie about, as you know, this government conspiracy that all these moving parts, complex, all this stuff, and instead of, you know, just saying something believable, you out of the blue pull this super high powered, you know, pretty big round rifle out your ass. And then you got to lie about where the bullet is. And all of it's crazy talk, right? So I want to go over what we do know for certain, the things we know for certain. That, and what's so frustrating is all these internet sleuths, because they're in full confirmation bias mode, meaning everything they look at it to see if there's a way that it confirms their conspiracy. If it debunks their conspiracy, they probably won't even look at it. That's how bad confirmation bias becomes. You want it to be X. So everything you look at in an attempt to confirm X. And that is what these people are doing, sadly. And we, like I said, some of you that have been here for have seen this before. That's something that Upchurch and his little investigation crew did. And now Upchurch is getting the shit suit out of him while the other three get off scot-free. I still think, Rusty Truck's dopey kid should be in that lawsuit. It's a shame that he's not. It's unfair that Upchurch take the brunt of it when they all did it. Anyway, back to this. What do we know for certain? Like absolute certain. Okay. We know for certain that Antifa and the trans radicals funded by the Democrats hated Charlie Kirk. They have spent years indoctrinating the youth to hate Charlie Kirk, feeding them grossly exaggerated lies and purposely out of context quotes to paint him as a racist hate monger. And it couldn't be farther from the truth. It's the exact opposite of that. Like almost everything we see with the Democrat Party in the last 10 years, it's the opposite of what they believe, always. Anyway, so we know for certain that Antifa, trans radicals, Democrat Party hated Charlie Kirk. He cost them 56% of the youth vote. He brought a lot of new voters to Trump, and they hated him. They made threats on his life daily. So we know that for certain. That is irrefutable. That is an established fact. So we have motive and we have intent, both. So knowing that, what are some other facts? We know for certain that several of his buddies were making snide crystal ball psychic predictions alluding to his assassination the day before. So unless you believe that all those little trannies and queers are psychic, then you must believe they knew in advance what was going to happen. You know, things like watch the news. You'll know it when you see it. Wouldn't it be awful? Charlie speaking at the college, wouldn't it be awful if somebody, deleted him or silenced him or however they put it? And then at the bottom, you'll know it when you see it. Big grin. All that the day before. So that's an established fact, right? We know that for certain. We also know for certain their Discord was deleted and their little chat group, I believe on Reddit, was deleted, and 2 of their Instagram deals were deleted. Also, important. These are facts. These aren't hypotheses. These aren't theories. These are established facts that we know so far. We also know that in one of the particular groups, they were very active in that group. It had a 600 word per day average post. On the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was nary a peep. One post about him being assassinated. That's it. Nothing else. So here's this group, hates Charlie Kirk, talks trash about him every day, always saying something horrible. And the day he gets assassinated, there's one post. But everywhere else, we see celebration. From who? Who was celebrating? Antifa, LGBTQ, Democrats, celebrating right away. And when you talk to them, there's a vitriol hate coming out of their mouth towards Charlie Kirk. That's a fact, irrefutable. We know for absolute certain, beyond the slightest of possible doubt, that Tyler Robinson walked from where he parked his car to that building with the gun down his pant leg, limping like crazy. He couldn't bend his leg, right? His leg had to stay perfectly straight because the barrel was down to his ankle. Several YouTubers have proven that that's very easily done. And they've made videos doing it themselves. You can go find them. There's a lot, like I think at least 5. And we know for certain somebody with the exact same kind of clothes, if not him, was seen on the roof jockeying into position. We know for certain from the 3,000 people that were there and the how would you say, their reflex reaction, that the shot came from behind them, right from where alleged Taylor Robinson was seen jockeying into position. People keep saying other people said they heard the shot from somewhere else. I haven't heard one person say that. Everyone that was there that has spoken about it or asked about it that I could find have all said it came from behind them. I'm also more inclined to believe that because we saw the way the shot hit and his shirt blow back and all that, right? I also tend to believe that because people had a natural reflex to turn and look where the shot came from. If you watch very close to a lot of the independent videos, like the cell phone videos that are floating around, a lot of people instantly ducked and looked back over their right shoulder. So that's a fact. That's not a hypothesis, not a conspiracy, established fact. Now, the other fact is, I don't know how many of you have been around guns being shot, but if you're less than 100 feet or at 100 feet where a gun is being fired, you're not going to have a doubt in your mind where the shot came from. It's going to be so easy to tell. The only time you question where a shot came from if it's way off in the distance. But if you're up close and personal, you're going to hear it, man. If it came from the right, it's going to be loud in your right ear. If it came from the left, it's going to be louder than hell in your left ear. If it came from behind you, you'll know it. But what I do know for certain, what I do absolutely know for certain, that if you were standing where Charlie Kirk was and you were only like 5 feet back, which is a lot of people, you would know damn well if a shot came towards you, especially from the direction right where you're looking. You'd hear that crack and you would know it came from right in front of you. There wouldn't be a question. And that, again, you would probably see it because that bush that guy's talking about is literally right in front of you. We didn't see anybody say it came from anywhere else I've seen. And we know you can tell where a gun's coming from that close. So I'm going to call that a fact. It's just a fact. We saw people flinch and look back behind them. We have the guy in the crowd that jumped up and cheered and mouthed, "Fuck yeah." And his explanation was the most hollow, worst acting I've ever seen. He was trying to act like he was a hardcore Charlie Kirk supporter, and it was everything he could do to keep the smirk off his face. And he failed at that. You could just tell he was lying. I mean, right away you could tell he was lying just by his posture, words he was choosing, and the fact that he kept having to fight a shit-eating grin. So those are facts. They're just facts. And we know for certain somebody wearing the exact same kind of clothes Tyler Robinson had on was seen jumping off the roof right from where the shot came from with something rolled up in a towel. That we know for certain. Shitty video, very grainy, but a lot of people have been able to zoom in on that and use, good touch up and, good professional software to really clarify that. And it's a gun. There's no question. The reason why it's confusing, because I watched the polished up version, Zoom, the other Zoom, and just the straight video. And, he's got that dark shirt on, and it's just hard to see the end of the barrel. But on the touched up photo, you can clearly see something sticking out of the end of the blanket or towel rather. He was seen running across the field towards where the gun was found. And he confessed. So we know those things for certain, right? There's no disputing any of that. So when you start punching holes in these theories, to me, makes no sense that you would put all this work into this multi-layer conspiracy that requires to have all these professional people on board that aren't Jewish, aren't hardcore. Why would they be so loyal to Israel? Makes no sense, right? And I say, wouldn't it just be easier, safer, less chance of getting caught if you just shoot the guy? Why all this other shit? Why you got to put an explosive thing in a microphone and have a remote detonator when you could just shoot the guy? Why you got to have a Vietnam camouflage hair thing? Just shoot the fucking guy. So it's frustrating to watch so many of these, these are large YouTube channels. And when they're building these conspiracies, they don't take any of that stuff into consideration. They pretend like there weren't 3,000 people there. They act like there weren't a whole bunch of people like within 5 feet and even more within 3 feet. They leave out the part where, how did they get the emergency room trauma team to lie, and the surgeon to lie, and the coroner to lie, and his friends to lie, in a matter of minutes, in a matter of seconds? Because see, you wouldn't know what nurse or doctor's on duty, right? You wouldn't even know for certain what hospital he was fucking going to. You wouldn't know for certain if it killed him or not. You wouldn't know any of this shit ahead of time. So when would you get all these people on board with your conspiracy? Same goes for the guy claiming he was shot from the back. His wife was shown the wounds, you simpleton. His team was shown the wounds. His buddy that gave him CPR all the way to the goddamn hospital saw the wounds. The people up there under the tent saw the wounds. Several eyewitnesses saw the wounds. Everybody heard the shot come from behind him. And if you say otherwise, I just think you're lying, because I can't find anybody making a statement otherwise. So why you guys choose to just ignore all of that, and instead of drilling down on the facts we know, and doing your sleuth there to either confirm or debunk what we know so far, you're running around with your confirmation bias looking for some multi-layer conspiracy. And the issue that I have with it is it's making the Trump voters and the conservative base look like insane, low IQ idiots. It really is. And you're making a mockery of it. Just an absolute mockery. I can't believe some of these bigger YouTube channels aren't at least trying to vet some of this shit before they post it. So that's all I got to say about it. Go through some comments here. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Another conspiracy. I debunked that conspiracy in just a couple of minutes. Unless that guy can explain why they would go through all of that risky behavior when they could just fucking shoot the guy. Because they already got a guy there with a gun. He's already on the roof. He wants to do it. You realize how absurd it is that Tyler Robinson would go there with a gun with the gray bullets. hating Charlie Kirk, threatening to kill him, wanting to kill him, but he don't do it. Instead, he just runs away and confesses to it. I mean, come on, guys. Come on, do better. We got a reputation out here, man. Do better. Yeah, Crowder's doing a pretty good job. He's not adopting every conspiracy on the fly. I mean, now I'm going to make a prediction. It's just a matter of days before one of them makes a video saying his wife was in on it. And his wife's having an affair with the Israeli security guy, and they concocted it. That's what's going to happen next. You watch, man. You watch. You remember when Upchurch and his little investigative team were just completely off the rails and started insinuating that these high school kids, okay, at a party, randomly, knee-jerk, murder a girl, take her car. Well, then the cops start looking for the car, and so they bring the car back and sink it in the lake. And then they go back with a kayak and dive down and do something with scuba diving gear and a Yamaha scuba bike. And they were believing this shit. They had convinced themselves it was real. It does sound dumb when you say it out loud, doesn't it? When you get away from the Kabuki theater, you got to strip the Kabuki theater away. That's why I didn't show the videos. Just strip the Kabuki theater away. I mean, wrap your mind around this. There's an explosive device in his microphone, like Charlie wouldn't know his own microphone. And plus, it has to work. The microphone has to work. And it's going to shoot a projectile and hit him in the neck, sever spine, kill him instantly on the first try, with them not having any clue how or what position or posture the mic would be in. And it required a remote trigger that was in the audience using a cell phone. And the instant he did it, he ran up there to where everybody was looking and where all the security was and handed his trigger device off to some dude, because walking away inconspicuously, I guess, wasn't part of the plan. And then the guy decides to reach down. Here's what he claims. When this turning point, or when this security guy jumps over the table and reaches down and picks something up, he's claiming that guy's retrieving the explosive device. Now, again, everybody's looking. Everyone's looking. All cameras are on you. Whole bunch of them. You don't have a better plan than that. What's the plan if it doesn't kill him? Like if he's still alive, and now we know it was a microphone that blew up. Now we knew who was handing stuff around, and wouldn't it be easier just to shoot the guy? Wouldn't it be easier just to shoot the guy? I mean, that's the easiest thing. Got a guy there with a gun already that wants to do it. Whew. Icy Orb says, never go full up, church, dude. Some of these guys are close. Really freaking close. And they're sober. What's this? He says, I know. This one's really bad. I mean, this is the worst, stupid. I can't believe people are airing it. I can't believe people are talking about it like it's a thing. They call it damning and compelling. I call it damning and compelling that Antifa threatened to kill Charlie Kirk for years. As recent as the day before, they made psychic predictions that he would be killed. And then one of them went there with a gun and was seen leaving with the gun and confessed to it. I find that pretty fucking compelling. Knowing, they threatened to kill him for a couple of years, all the time. I find it pretty compelling that their Discord was deleted. I find it pretty compelling that their other group was deleted. I find it pretty compelling that his own families, both of them's families, said, yeah, they would do this for sure. Tyler Robinson's mom and dad were supporters of Charlie Kirk and Trump. And they said, yeah, he was out there talking. That's all he talked about. He obsessed over it. The Furries family are Democrats, and he was too radical for them. I just find it compelling that we know for certain that Antifa is funded by the Democrats. And I know damn well they probably offered them a big fistful of cash if they pulled this off. And I'd be watching all their bank accounts, see if any of them get a windfall of cash, driving a new car, or anything like that. But all these other rabbit holes, the only thing I guess I could ask people to do, if you're listening, if you're watching, if you care, if you're tired of it, it being made a mockery and just being just brought down to a level of stupidity, making us all look really dumb, is you gotta go straight to the source of these conspiracies and tell them just how damn stupid they are. If they're not going to bother like debunking or confirming any of the things to do with Tyler Robinson and Antifa, and they're just going to focus on it being some multi-layer, super complex, dual government conspiracy, then I don't think they're credible. Because you got to debunk what we know so far. You've got to attempt to say, okay, this proves Tyler Robinson didn't do it, and this proves he didn't do it, and this proves he didn't do it. So let's look over here. His mic blew up. He just had that mic in the perfect spot to put a hole in his neck and sever his spine. And you know what? Nobody sitting in the front row 3 feet away even picked up on it. And that damn explosive device is so cool, it didn't even make a burn mark on his white t-shirt. Hell yeah. See that shrub back there? That one right in front of you? Just like 15 feet away from Charlie? Yeah, that's a guy in a Vietnam era costume with a helmet that's got leaves and stuff on it. And he's going to shoot him from the back, and you're going to think it came from behind you. And you're not even going to see it. Well, I know it's right in front of you, right where you're looking. But hey, these conspiracies and all. I need you guys to push back on this shit, man. Every one of you. Just say, look, this is fucking ridiculous. Oh, hey, Joe, I want to tell you something. This one they're touting today, it got a lot of traction. Big channels talking about it. Well, here we go. Okay. Right. Okay. I agree with everything you're saying, Dirty Silverado, except for you don't have to be experienced to make that shot. You just don't. That is such a lie. Oh my gosh. That's one of the worst exaggerations I've seen. The two exaggerations that I've seen, and they're gross exaggerations. Okay. One is you'd have to be an expert to make that shot. No, you wouldn't. Absolutely not. I'll bet any one of you guys money I could put a rifle in my wife's hand and point at something 140 yards away and tell her to line the dot and the groove up on it, and she could hit it. It's not that far, man. 140 yards ain't that far. Rifle with a scope, 140 yards is nothing, especially a bolt action. That'd be a really easy shot to make. I mean, if you had to be an expert to make a shot like that, nobody'd ever shoot a deer. That's all I got to say, because people shoot deer at 140 yards all the time. So where was I? But yeah, I agree with everything you say. But yeah, you don't have to be an expert to make that shot. It's an easy shot. Chris Turner says, thank you, PBR, with all the low lifes making those ridiculous claims. Yeah. I mean, somebody's got to be a voice of reason, man. And just apply common sense and deal with the facts we know until you know otherwise for sure. But, and I'm telling you, I hate to keep repeating it, but confirmation bias is a strong dopamine. You get this conspiracy in your head and you start looking at shit and you convince yourself it confirms your conspiracy. And you start getting addicted to that feeling that, oh, I'm solving this. And you just go wild. Next thing you know, you're pointing to a guy in the crowd holding a cell phone. How fucking unusual was that? A guy in the crowd with sunglasses on holding a cell phone. That is so suspicious. Okay. And because the cell phone twitched a little, for someone could have bumped into him. Literally, somebody could have bumped into the back of him, or he could have. I mean, every once in a while, I get a little knee jerk or something, and you just never know. But there's nothing suspicious about a guy with a cell phone. And if he's a trigger guy with a cell phone, I find it hard to believe he would run straight to the crime and stand around the people that are supposed to stop the crime, right where everybody's looking. I say he would wander away in the audience with his cell phone. We know people turned around and looked behind them. I've watched at least 4 different videos where you can see people knee jerk look behind them. Yeah, there wouldn't be much rate drop. I agree. There might be just a tiny bit. I don't think you get into much rate drop till you get over 100 or 200 yards, maybe. But, what was I was going to say something else about that. Okay, now you guys understand that a 30-06 is a bullet, right? It's not a weapon. It's a bullet. Then there are weapons that will shoot that bullet. And there are various sizes, shapes, types, going clear back to World War II. And the old World War II ones are very accurate weapon. My dad had an M16, which is a step above that. And that thing was so accurate from Vietnam. It was so accurate. You could just hit about anything with it. So there's that. Right. But okay. Yeah, I hear you. Okay. He says Mossad put C4 and 3,500 arms, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I hear you. Right. But what happened when it went off? Did it shoot a projectile, not make any smoke or put any burn mark on white cloth? I would say no. It blew up, made a hell of a mess, right? Wouldn't it have messed his hands up? Wouldn't it have recoiled out of his hands? So the microphone's gonna send a projectile off that's gonna rip a hole through his neck and sever his spine. Wouldn't there be some recoil from that device? There's just so many things, right? But what I was about to say is the 30-aught is a bullet. It's not a gun. And so there's a lot of guns out there that different firing rates, spiral barrels, all kind of stuff. But also people make their own rounds. So it could be packed light. There's just all kind of variables there. And for these people to continue to speak in absolutes, that is impossible for a bullet to be stuck in a body. And I'm saying, no, that's not true. There are people alive. There are people alive with a 30-aught round still in their body. There are many cases of 30-aughts not making an exit wound. And it didn't take me long to find articles about that. I mean, it was like halfway down the first page on DuckDuckGo and on the second page of Google. And started seeing where, yeah, this has happened. So that's not true. When you hear them say it's impossible for a 30-06 to be lodged in the body, that's just not true. It is possible. It happens. It has happened. And there are people that survived it, actually, and still have it in them. So I just want somebody to tell me, or at least, they make these theories and they don't include any of the facts we already know, which makes it suspect to begin with, right? Because if you're going to come up with some theory, you have to consider everything in the totality. You can't say, well, all this evidence over here, that's not salacious enough. Let me go over here and find the evidence that proves my theory. And all these predictions about what a human would do in that instance is insane. You don't know what the fuck you'd do. Your adrenaline would be pumping. That's for sure. So okay, Ken, here we go. Ken, no, you have it wrong. The phone has a trigger app and you get rid of it. I'm fully aware of that, Ken. Now, I want to ask you a question and I want you to answer it. You ready? So if they put together this multi-layer complex conspiracy that includes a explosive device in Charlie's microphone, one, not knowing what posture he would be holding the mic ever, two, getting it right the first try, three, no smoke, no stain, no nothing on the t-shirt. Nobody heard anything from the front. They all heard it coming from behind them. And I'll challenge you to find me an eyewitness that was there that says otherwise. There's one or two that say they're not sure. Everybody else says, yep, came from behind us. For sure. Yep, heard it right behind us. But this is the question I want you to answer. If a guy holding a cell phone with an app on it was the trigger man, and he's standing out in the middle of the crowd with his cell phone with an app on it that's a trigger to explode a remote explosive device. What would make more sense, knowing that this is a sophisticated, complex, pre-planned conspiracy that they got to get right the first time? Why would he walk up to right to where Charlie's at, where all the chaos is at, where the security's at, where everybody's coming, where everybody's running to, where everybody's looking? Why wouldn't he just wander away in the crowd with his cell phone? Why do you have to get rid of evidence on a cell phone unless you've drawn attention to yourself? Someone standing with a cell phone is not drawing attention to themselves, son. Just because he zoomed in on that one guy holding a cell phone, you've isolated yourself to that with side blinders. If he zoomed out, you'd find almost everybody had a cell phone in their hand. Almost everybody had a cell phone in their hand. You zoom back in, you only see one guy doing it. Seems suspicious. That's called kabuki theater. And we see it often with confirmation bias. I'm going to ask, and I want you to answer me. What would make more sense in a multi-layer complex conspiracy with all kinds of pre-planned moving parts? For the trigger man with his cell phone app not looking suspicious at all because everybody else has got a cell phone. It's 2025. Need to run up to where the crime is, where everybody's coming, and hand it off to one of the other guys that's right there that would also be suspicious now. Why not hand it off to somebody else in the crowd? Why not just slither away? I'm waiting. I want an answer. If you guys are going to believe in these fairy tales, you got to back them up. That's what I thought. Well, is he being sarcastic there? I don't sound sarcastic to me. Sorry, but it don't. Yep, that's another one right there. That's very true. Yeah, the spitball. Spot on. You understand it, just try to wrap your mind around the complexity of all that, because if it didn't work, holy shit. And I'm never going to believe that you could do what happened to Charlie couldn't have happened from some explosive device, little explosive device in his microphone that sent a projectile through his neck, severing his spine, without there being smoke or a frickin' some kind of stain. If there isn't enough space there isn't enough volume of CFM. Okay, there isn't enough air thrust for it to be an air thing like that simpleton said. You would need a huge air tank, and you would need about a 2-inch hose, a 2-inch diameter hose to create that much velocity with air. I work with air compressors all day long. No. You're not going to send no fucking projectile with a CO2 cartridge from a fucking handheld microphone. No, you're not. It's impossible. There isn't enough volume or CFM, cubic feet per minute of air. There just isn't enough. There isn't enough velocity there to send a metal projectile through someone's neck, killing them instantly from their lap. Somehow. I mean, the bullet must have went up and did a 45-degree turn. It would have went through the top of his fucking head, you simpletons. I mean, here's the other thing that's very frustrating. Once one of them pukes up one of these Scooby-Doo episodes, then they just absolutely lock down and just refuse to hear any criticism to it. I want to know why they're willing to just ignore all the damning evidence that points towards Antifa and trans radical Tyler Robinson. Why are you guys so eager and willing to just completely ignore that and make it into something else? There's so much evidence there, and motive, intent, predictions. So Yeah, I mean, I kid you not. Okay, we target shot a lot when I was a kid. My dad had several rifles. I was hitting 100-yard, 120, 140 yards when I was like 10 years old. It just wasn't hard at all. All my brothers did too. It was just not a hard shot. Which one? Let me see. What are you asking me? Okay. So Nola would like to ask about the t-shirt puffing up and the microphone shooting up in the air and to the right. Okay. I'll answer that. You didn't see his hands jerk the minute his spine was severed? They literally went straight up and popped it up in the air just like you could. Now I ask you something. Let me ask you something, Nola. Wouldn't the microphone be completely fucking shattered? Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it make some kind of fucking mark on his shirt? A white shirt? And the shirt did not puff up. The shirt was popped up by him jerking, the microphone hitting it and falling back. You can clearly see that shirt puff out in the back. I mean, there was some velocity there. I'll tell you, I've had a spinal fusion done to my neck. Okay. I had to get metal hardware put in there because your spinal tube, where all your nerves run, your spinal bones can become misaligned and rub that. And that was causing me to have a lot of pain in my feet. So I got a triple fusion done. It took them about 14 hours. Okay. And you know what that doctor told me? He said, you never know how long those are going to take because it is extremely hard to drill through that bone. It's a really hard bone. They really struggle with that. And so you're talking about if that bullet was headed slightly upwards and it just so happened to hit dead center of that bone tube, it would have had to go through both sides. It was already slowed down some, and it had already traveled 140 yards. And you don't know what kind of gun it was shot from, really. We've never seen Tyler Robinson's gun yet. Police have never released a photo of it yet. And I'm going to get to that. And you don't know if he packed the round himself. I mean, there's so many things we don't know. We know he engraved the bullets. I bet you he engraved bare casings and then they packed them or had one of their buds do it or something. We also, I forgot, know that a whole group of Antifa people met at his apartment just weeks before. There's just so much evidence pointing towards Antifa. And I hope that dispels your question there, that if you watch, and there's like 4 videos you can watch where you see him flinch when that bullet hits him. And it's a really hard flinch, and then his arms go completely stiff because it severed his spinal cord. And that was the last message that went to those nerves, was to tense up. And so they stay that way clear till he hits the ground. It's an odd thing, but that is what happens. I seen a guy wreck a motorcycle and break his spine. And he had his arms like almost straight out for like an hour, they said. So these things happen. It's not uncommon. And again, if you're going to go through all the trouble to do this multi-layer thing, wouldn't it just be easier to shoot the guy? Especially if you got a guy like Tyler Robinson willing to take a gun there. I mean, come on. You guys got to apply some common sense. It's not unusual for a guy to have a cell phone in a crowd. Come on. I know you guys know this. That if he, instead of zooming in on one guy holding a cell phone, I would challenge that guy to take the same shot and zoom way out. And if you don't see a dozen other cell phones, I'll kiss your ass. Hey, a whole bunch of them were holding phones recording. He wasn't the only one. You don't know if he hit stop recording. You don't know if he was starting the recording right when the shot went off. You don't know if somebody bumped into him. He could have had a hiccup. You don't know. That phone moves so very little. You just don't know. Why does he have to run up to where Charlie's at and hand it off to somebody up there right in front of everybody when a cell phone don't look suspicious? And if he was going to hand it off, they would likely, you know why they were planning this multi-layer complex thing out, had a guy in the crowd and planned the handoff. The guy's running around up there, grabbing stuff off the ground, looking for keys, handing off. That looked pretty chaotic to me. That didn't look like a well-oiled multi-layer conspiracy plan. That looked like a bunch of people in pure panic mode, full of adrenaline. That's what it looked like to me. What happens is you guys watch the video and you listen to his narration, and your narration starts putting you into a bias at what you're seeing is what he's saying. Say it all without the video, okay? Or watch the video without him talking. Go watch those videos again and just turn the volume off and just watch what the people are doing. It won't seem suspicious at all. That's the first thing I did was watched it with no volume, none of his narration. That's the same thing that Ryan Upchurch did to what's his name, the black dude that said he had been to the party before when he was a teenager, and that was a real party place. Upchurch did the same thing. Upchurch narrated what he said and made it sound like he said something completely different. When you play it back with only him and not Upchurch's edited version, you hear what he actually said. Right, yeah, that guy. What was his name? God, I can't believe I forgot that already. You don't know what the FBI is already looking at. You just don't. And I hope you guys understand something. Okay. This isn't a video game. This isn't a game show, television show. This is real life. The police are running their investigation for murder. Okay. The police are running an investigation for a murder. They cannot mess with the evidence and like be wrong about the evidence, like, or they could hurt the case. The evidence has to be preserved till they go to trial if they hope to get a conviction. So a lot of stuff, they just can't put it out to the public because it could damage the case. And that's with every big crime like that. That's not anything exceptional with Charlie Kirk. That's like every big crime. When have you guys ever seen a huge crime while the investigation's still going on and the police give you blow by blow what they're doing every minute? They're not going to. They're not going to tell you about any suspect till they have the guy nailed down. And the FBI is running their own co-investigation. Kash Patel went there himself, walked the whole thing out. They've interviewed, what he say, over 150 people. And you've not seen any of this because you're not entitled to it. They have to build a case. You guys think that what you know so far is the only thing the FBI knows. Not true at all. They know a lot more than we do. There are new videos surfacing every single day from people in the crowd. Just because you were there and recorded it doesn't mean you're going to run to YouTube and post it. Some people won't do that. Some people will be afraid to do that. Some people will think it's worth money. They want to sell it. Some people will give it to the police thinking it's evidence. Some people just don't want to be found out, don't want to be bothered, don't want to be exposed. Well, see, you don't even really know that. Okay. And here's my, he said, Nola says, he wants to understand something. He'll never trust the FBI. The FBI destroys evidence. The latest files FBI destroyed was Epstein. Okay. Again, Nola. Okay. I'll bet you any amount of money, Nola, that most of what you believe about the Epstein case and files is just gross exaggerations that people just concocted. When his first arrest went on, I remember reading the news articles, and there was no mention of any kind of blackmail or espionage. And there was like 5 girls that were going to testify, but I think only 3 did. And all of them were like 16, 17, 18. These weren't little girls. Okay. This is just a fact. You can go to the trial files for his first arrest. They're still there. You can go see them. Even Dupre was Virginia Dupre, or Roberts Dupre or whatever her name was. Okay. She was 17. She was 14 the first time she gave him a massage, but she was 17 the first time she went to Lolita Island with him. Okay. So I just want to put this out there to, just wrap your mind around the fact that there are high school girls that can't wait to be 17 and if their state's legal age is 17, so they can do OnlyFans. And they're all running to OnlyFans when they turn 18. Girls that age are sexually active. They're very willing, and some of them are actually hoes. Big time hoes. So I just want you to chew on that for a minute. In the second arrest, where they did a much deeper raid and all that, there was still, if you read through all that evidence, they found, cheese pizza that he was watching and had downloaded, but there was none that he made. And that's in the case file of the case. They found like a couple of other like blue or white collar crime things that really had nothing to do with underage girls or anything. And even the girls that testified never mentioned anything about some huge client list or blackmail or anything like that. There's never been an official accusation from anyone, any of the whistleblowers in either trial any investigator, any of them have ever mentioned blackmail. That has only came from the internet with making a wild assumption of that was how he got his money. And I know for certain that is not how he got his money. In right here where I live is New Albany, Ohio, not too far from here. I managed an auto shop in downtown New Albany, Ohio. I got pictures all over. I've shown the pictures before. I think even one of these assholes called there to see if I worked there once. Anyway, Lex Wexner had hired Jeffrey Epstein to help him liquidate or to develop this area for Facebook data center, Amazon fulfillment center, Intel chip factory, and an NVIDIA assembly plant. These are huge freaking complexes. And they built them in New Albany, which is a very, very, very high income area. Lex Wexner's house is there. And like Bobby Ray Hall, Eric Clapton. There's a whole list of famous people that live on White Barn Road in New Albany. And they were buying mansions and tearing them down. And they brought in construction equipment to level those lots and ready them for these huge projects. And Epstein spearheaded that. So I don't want to hear that nobody knows where he got his money. That is not true. That's an internet rumor. He was a very legit developer and investor, and he was pretty smart with his money. So we know that he did have some other source of income. Now, could he be a blackmail people? I suppose it's possible. But I'm saying this all to get to this point is they would, if the deep state, the Democrats, had Epstein files that had dirt on some people, do you really believe that they would hand that shit over to Bondi and Trump? If the Democrats had, you guys have to remember, the Democrats were sitting on this so-called Epstein files for 6 years. And if it had a bunch of damning stuff on it that could control powerful people, as you suggest Epstein was doing to make his money, what, in your wildest dream, what makes you think they would have handed that shit over to Pam Bondi and Trump? They set her up to make her look stupid. This is not Trump's fault. It's not Bondi's fault. They only have what those jackasses gave them. And what they gave them is a nothing burger. But I don't think it goes as deep as everybody wants it to. All the stuff surrounding Epstein, the accusations, that literally, that is all grossly exaggerated internet stuff. None of that has ever came from any official law enforcement. If they, here's what I can't get. This is another one that I can't wrap my mind around. So what you guys that believe in these crazy conspiracies would suggest is that Epstein's this powerful fucking guy, and he's tricked people into having relations with underage, and then he turns around and blackmails them for money, right? And that, you know, the FBI uses them to do people and all this, right? Why would they bother raiding his house and arresting him and gathering all his evidence and shit then? Wouldn't they just kept on protecting him? Why would they suddenly bust him? You see, these conspiracies fall apart when you start stripping them down. They fall apart real quick. I mean, I'm just telling you, if there was any damning shit that came from the Epstein raid, the deep state had it and the Democrats had it long before Bondi and Trump got in office. And if it had some damning shit on it, one, if it had anything to do with Trump on it, we would have known about it. They would have used it to try to, keep him from getting elected. But full of damning stuff, and they're just going to hand it over to Pam Bondi. Here you go. This is all of it. Hey, there's all them people Epstein was blackmailing in there. Good luck. If the Democrats had that and they could convict some of these people and say, even if some of them were Republicans, they would have been all over that shit. I do not believe there's any such list of clients. I don't believe it. I'm not saying there were no other people that engaged in this. I'm saying nobody kept a list. Nobody kept a list. They just didn't. And I don't think there was much blackmail going on. I just think he was what he liked underage, or he liked teen girls. I'm going to say better. He liked teen girls. Now, the word pedophile does not apply. There's nothing about the Epstein case that would suggest anything to do with pedophilia. Everything they say he had was like teenagers, mid-aged teenagers. That's what he was into. Even the illegal stuff he had downloaded, it wasn't little tiny stuff. It was what they call hibbies, 14 to 17. So, I mean, those are just facts. So anyway, go through a few more comments and I got to get off here. I got shit to do tomorrow. No, they tried to charge him with that and it didn't work. He got charged with a 16-year-old, I think. I can't remember. It's been so long since I looked at, but none of them were extremely young that he got convicted for. That's why he didn't do much time. If he was arrested for serial rape of a 14-year-old, he would have done a 10-year minimum. Come on, man. Don't, if that's factual, I'll apologize. I'll eat my words, but I don't believe so. If memory serves me right, yeah, they accused him of that, but then they couldn't prove it. There was no proof of it. Just words. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, whistleblowing evidence being destroyed. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. Lex Wexner, yes, I know all about Lex Wexner, dude. All about it. I'm from the area. Okay. I mean, yeah, everybody knows. I'm just telling you the facts. Okay. The facts are, in both cases, there was no mention of any pedophilia. None. Zero. Now, there isn't a single witness that ever accused him of it. He was never charged with it. He got busted for a 16-year-old in the end. And then the next trial, he killed himself before he went to court. Maxwell, there was no accusations of pedophilia in her case either. They were mid-aged teenagers. The last girl to come forward and make accusations was like 22 years old, for Christ's sake. When she started it, when she went there and got paid to give massages. I'm just saying, if they had a client list that had all this proof and damning stuff and shit, the Democrats wouldn't have sat on it for 6 years. Come on, you got to be realistic. I'm not trying to defend the guy. He's this fucking scumbag. I'm just saying the facts are the fact. You know, you gotta at least engage in the facts. So, you know, I mean, when Lex Wexner was first building the limited warehouses, you know, I was managing a shop right up the road from there, and they are putting these great big conveyor belts in there. It was like one of the most complex conveyor systems there ever was. And my first cousin got a welding degree at Hawking Tech College, and that was the first job he got, was welding on those conveyor belts in the limited warehouse. So, yeah. All you guys believing in the wild, far-fetched, out of this world, clear out off the planet. Yeah, and I'm the moron that's just looking at hard, cold evidence. All you guys following internet rumors like they're actual facts in a case, but I'm the moron. I'm the moron for just following the facts. I'll challenge you right now to find one single person on planet Earth that accused Epstein of pedophilia. Now, and I want you to go read what the definition of pedophilia is right now. Because Epstein is not guilty of that. He was into young teens, mid-age teens. They're called hippie. It's not pedophile. Pedophile is prepubescent. Not 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old. There's no accusations of that from anyone, son. Nobody. Sorry if the facts are too hard for you to digest. How can they be pedophiles if they're not messing with underage or prepubescent? Answer me. I want a fucking answer. How can they be pedophiles if there's no evidence that ever took place? Just because you heard it on the internet, say, "Oh my God, he's guilty of it." Don't matter if why didn't Dupree mention she was there? She was there a lot. She went to all these so-called, bang jams or whatever they were doing. She wrote a book. Challenge you right now to see her ever mention anybody younger than 14. And she was the one that was 14. And at that time, all she did was give him massages. There was never anything that went on between them until the next time she went to the island with him. And that's when it went beyond the massage. And I believe she said in trial and in her book, she was 16 when it happened. The picture of her standing behind Prince George, she's 17 years old in that picture. Sorry if those facts are just too hard for you to digest. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, sorry if I'm a little bit, let me tell you, Ken, the shit I've seen this week with these wild conspiracies coming out of these people's mouth, I guess I'm just looking for everybody to be off the fucking rails. Sorry. I mean, I'm serious, man. The shit, I want to tell you one I heard today. Okay. And this dude was being serious. All right. He suggested that he said, they can make something look like a gunshot with makeup. And he was serious. Okay. You know, they can make something look like a shot with makeup because, and I'm like, when would they have put the makeup on there to make it look like a gunshot while everybody rode to the hospital with him and the trauma team met him at the door? They put it on in the car on the way over there. I'm serious. Dude was serious when he said that. So yeah, don't blame me for being like, I'm not expecting people to be sarcastic right now. I'm used to dealing with lunatics all day long. I'm telling you, I know the brain worms, these people, man. You mean with the, oh yeah, coming out. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Be a lot more facts. Yeah. So, well, maybe so. I don't know. But you understand, Nola. Here we go. I remember that specifically. Do you know what they were speaking about when they said the FBI agents threw up and cried after watching the videos? What were they referring to? What were they referring to? I'm waiting. What do you think they were referring to? What videos did they watch? What videos did they watch that made them feel like throwing up? Well, I guess I have to break it to you. It didn't have nothing to do with him. It didn't have nothing to do with anything he did. They were talking about the videos he had downloaded. They were referring to the hardcore cheese pizza videos that he had downloaded when they made that statement. There's no statement from any law enforcement anywhere. And I challenge you to prove me wrong. People are learning stuff tonight. I want you to, I'll challenge you to find where they say there's any evidence of him ever doing anything other than what he was accused of by Dupree. Now, I'm not saying that's all he ever did, but that's the only evidence they ever got. Is there is one video of him with her, and that wouldn't make an FBI agent sick. She's a fully developed young woman with pretty nice figure. So there wouldn't be anything about that that would make you sick. Right? She was 16 years old, 17 years old when this stuff happened. Fully developed woman. In 3 more months, you could go to OnlyFans and see somebody that age on OnlyFans. Ain't nobody getting sick watching OnlyFans. They're paying to do it. But come on, man. You got to start living your life. If you don't know the facts, you shouldn't come up with solid beliefs. And 2, if you're gonna have an opinion, at least arm yourself with some facts. I read that whole Epstein transcript from his first trial. Read the whole damn thing. We were on a different community site called Vloggerheads back then. And people had downloaded them, and we were reading them when that trial was going on and paying real close attention to it. And I'm just telling you what I know factually about the case. Now, the new charges, still no pedophilia committed by him, just stuff he had downloaded. And that's what the FBI agents were referring to. I guess there were some pretty raunchy cheese pizza videos that he got from the dark web. There was no second trial. He killed himself. What are you talking about? There was no second trial. He killed himself. See what I mean? They showed up, raided his property, arrested him, and he killed himself. That's it. No trial, no court, no hearing, no discovery. He just killed himself. Anybody not agree with that? And you do? Okay. He's never been accused of pedophilia, son. Nobody that was his accusers ever alluded to such thing. The FBI found no evidence of such things. And there were no accusations of such things. And everyone said he was very much into developing teens. That's just what he said. That's what the trial said. That's what he was charged with. That's what Dupree said. That's what the other lady said. And the other whistleblower. There was no second trial. So you don't have anything from the second trial because there wasn't one. He killed himself. All you got was an evidence list. That's all there was. And that's when they made that statement about it making him ill, because it was stuff he had downloaded, not done. It wasn't stuff he did. It was stuff he downloaded. Big difference. Did I not? What did I just say? What did I just say? He downloaded raunchy cheese pizza from the dark web. That's what he was being charged with the second time before he killed him fucking self. That's what they found when they raided the place. It's right. Yeah. I guess if you're not even going to go look to verify your beliefs, there ain't much you can do for you. Okay, well, then you're just stay stupid. Why don't you just go ahead and stay stupid then? That's a smart thing to do. Stay stupid and believe in internet fairy tales. I challenge you to find where there was any indication from anyone about anything about prepubescent anything from Jeffrey Epstein committed by him. You won't. I know you won't, because you can't, because nobody's ever accused him of that. And they never found any evidence of that. They found some that he downloaded. Go read Dupree's book. Go read the charges that were against him. There was no trial. He killed himself. No, you didn't. Because if you looked, then you would know the facts. And the facts are no. All they found was something downloaded. There's no videos. The only video they even found, the only videos they found was him doing with like a couple of different teen girls. That's it. That's all they found. Nothing else. Some like other stuff, like some, there was like some weird things. A picture of Bill Clinton in a dress. You can go to the FBI website and see the whole pile of shit. Okay, well, I'm sorry, but I like to live in Realville and deal in facts. And I'm a firm believer. If the Democrats had a bunch of, you got to understand, the Democrats had this shit first. And if there was some damning shit on there, You ain't going to tell me they wouldn't have used it to their advantage. The hell if they wouldn't have. You're crazy if you think they wouldn't have. You're just crazy if you think they wouldn't have. And if they had a bunch of damning shit, what makes you think they'd just hand it over to Bondi and Trump? Here you go. Blackmail us. Come on, dude. Get some facts. You gotta have some facts. Yep, I'm sure he was. I'm sure Clinton got him some 16-year-olds and 15-year-olds, maybe. I'm sure he did. Ain't no doubt. There were no prepubescent ones there. That's for sure. There's never been an accusation of that from anyone. That's another word, I guess, that frustrates me because we've took care of foster kids and stuff. And, there's enough abuse to go around. And I get so tired of that word being misused. Okay. It has a definition, and that definition does not include anybody over the age of 10. If they're older than 10, that word does not apply. Because he wanted to watch them, I guess. I don't know. Why would you download it? I guess you'd want to watch it. I'm saying acts he committed. He was charged with that, downloading it. He was charged with downloading it, and he was charged with underage, something like not sexual, but like giving them alcohol or tobacco or something, and a couple of other things like that. There was a girl that was like 15 or 16 that she had accused him and was going to testify against him, but there was enough cheese pizza to send him away for a long time. The stuff he had downloaded, not stuff he produced himself, things he downloaded. Might have been. I don't know if he got charged with rape or not. I don't know. Okay. And what, okay, young. Define young. Define young. I'm still waiting on you to define young. Young as in teenager? Right. Exactly. Not young as in under 10. That then, the P word applies. The P word don't apply to anybody older than that. It has a definition. You can't misuse the word. And then, just use it for something else, because there are actual victims of that. And it shouldn't be overused and undervalued. Okay. That's not pedo. It's far from it. It's 4 years too late to be pedo. Just saying. He'd never had access to any. Pretty hard to get a 10-year-old to travel out of state with you and give you massages in the nude with their parents' permission. Kind of hard to pull that off. But you can get a 16-year-old or a 14-year-old that thinks they're going to a modeling thing or something. Sure. But I can guarantee you the 14-year-old lied to her mom and her dad that it was a modeling thing, because she knew what she was going to go do. She was going to go do nude massages and make big money like her friend was doing. It was a willing thing. Nobody drug her by the hair of her head. Just saying, man. Stop misusing the word and repeating internet rumors that are not true. There was no second trial. I don't know where in the fuck you're getting that from. He killed himself. Exactly, but he got charged with that. Do you not know the difference between watching it and producing it? Tell me you got your brain functions well enough that you know there's a difference between watching it and producing it. You see, if you produce it, you're creating a new victim that you can then be charged with. If you download it and watch it, you can only be charged with possessing it, not producing it. You don't have a victim. There's no victim. It's just you committing a crime. If you produce it, there's a victim. I'm sorry. I mean, I can't believe you guys ignore facts. Now I see why you guys are into all these crazy conspiracies. It's why you believe them so either. Just you convince yourself of stuff that isn't true, and then you grossly exaggerate your own exaggerations. You exaggerate, and then you exaggerate your exaggeration. Why? Why not just stick with the facts? You know, be a grown-up, be mature. Keep it real. Well, you know, I don't know why you take it personal. I mean, if that's what you believe, that's what you believe. I can't help that. It's not my fault. Why you call me an asshole? Because you don't know the difference between producing and watching. It's not my fault. How's that my fault? There's a big difference. Big difference. And he was never come to pass because he killed himself. He's never been accused of pedophilia. Ever. By anyone. And they've never had any evidence of it. You got to have a victim in order for there to be evidence. So where's the 10 years old or younger victim? Who was she? Where was she from? Who saw it? Who caught him? Where'd he get her at? Oh, nobody said that. Can you believe I'm dealing with this right now? And she's mad at me. I'm the asshole while she's being bullheaded and stubborn about something that a toddler can understand. You're not engaging in pedophilia if you watch child porn. Absolutely fucking not. The person that produced it did. But you're not engaging in it by watching it. They can't charge you with it. It's not a crime, that kind of crime. It's two completely different things. Two completely different things. I don't make the rules. It's just what it is, man. He was physically attracted to teenage girls. Obviously, that's what he got caught with. Teenagers, not 10-year-olds and 8-year-olds and 7-year-olds. There's never been any such. Ever. She actually, that girl, that 14-year-old, if you must know, went on to do pornography, OnlyFans, and wrote a book. Oh, yeah. Copy paster. Oh, look, man, I found this code. Stayed up all night to get it to work, though. I wonder how PBR was doing this back in 1999, 1998, 1997, where you had to figure it out without that. I wonder how he did that, made it all work, and several modems and everything. I hope I can be him someday. God knows I got the time to try to be him because I got no fucking life. And I'm going to beat my head against the wall and convince myself I'm good enough, and then I'll challenge PBR, and then people will think I'm him or as good as him. Holy cow. I might end up amounting to something here. Anyway, I'm getting off here. You guys see these people talking ridiculous conspiracies that lack facts? Tell them to quit making us all look bad, because that's exactly what they're doing. And I would argue any day of the week that it would be a hell of a lot easier to just shoot him, especially when you got a kid willing to do it, than it is to concoct some multi-layer dual government conspiracy with exploding microphones and secret button handoffs and all that. Just saying. Catch you later. You'll never, ever in your life be able to accomplish what I accomplished with that operating system at one time, you poor lost child. It'll never happen. You can stay up copying and pasting code for the rest of your natural life on this fucking earth, and you will never make a Slackware module that people will pay for. Catch you later, loser.